We have finally arrived at the moment of truth. The rumors have been put to bed, the speculation has ended, and the reality is staring us in the face inside a courtroom in Abuja. If you thought the drama with the Buhari boys was over with Malami and Stella Odua, you need to fasten your seatbelt because today, Friday, December 12, 2025, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has taken the Onwa of Anambra politics, Dr. Ngige, straight to the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Gwarinpa. The headline asking about Tinubu's involvement is the question on everyone's lips, and as we watch Ngige step into the dock, we are witnessing what might be the most significant political cleansing in Nigeria's recent history. We are broadcasting this breaking update live, figuratively speaking, from the heat of the moment. Just 24 hours ago, the internet was washing with panic that Ngige had been kidnapped by unknown gunmen. His family was in distress, his supporters were praying. But today, we know who the kidnappers are. It is the Nigerian state. It is the EFCC, and they haven't taken him to a forest, they have taken him to justice. The commission has filed a heavy 8-count charge against the former Minister of Labour and Employment, accusing him of contract fraud that runs into billions of naira. Let's break down exactly what happened in court today because the details are messy. The EFCC is not smiling. They have accused Ngige of treating the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, like his personal ATM. According to the charge sheet, which was dated October 31 but executed today, Ngige allegedly used his position to award contracts to companies owned by his cronies and associates. We are talking about specific companies here. The EFCC listed Sezimo Nigeria Ltd, Zitacom Nigeria Ltd, and Jeff and Chris Ltd. These aren't just random names. Investigators claim these companies are directly linked to Ngige's close associates. The figures are staggering. The charge sheet alleges that he awarded contracts worth 366 million naira to Sezimo Nigeria, then another 583 million naira to Zitacom, and yet another 362 million to Jeff and Chris Ltd. When you punch these numbers into your calculator, you are looking at over 1.3 billion naira allegedly funneled out under the guise of consultancy and procurement. And remember, this happened while he was the supervising minister of the NSITF between 2015 and 2023. This was the same period he was telling doctors and university lecturers that the government had no money to pay them. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. ASU was on strike for months, doctors were fleeing the country, Japa, and all the while, the man in charge of labor was allegedly signing off hundreds of millions to his friends. Now, let's tackle the big question in the headline. Tinubu involvement. Is this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's handiwork? You have to look at the pattern. In the last 10 days, we've seen former Attorney General Abubakar Malami detained over terrorism financing and Abacha loot. We've seen former Aviation Minister Stella Odua arraigned for 2.5 billion naira fraud. We've seen Timipre Silva, the former Petroleum Minister, declared wanted, and now Ngige is in the dock. These are not small fry. These are the super ministers of the Buhari administration. These were the untouchables. Political analysts are buzzing with two theories. The first is that President Tinubu is deliberately cleaning house to distance himself from the failures of his predecessor. By allowing the EFCC to go after the Buhari boys, Tinubu is sending a message to Nigerians. I am different, I am in charge, and I will not protect anyone who stole. It is a brilliant populist move. Nigerians are angry about the economy, about inflation. Seeing the big men who presided over the economic collapse in handcuffs is a form of catharsis. It buys the president goodwill. It shows he's serious about the renewed hope agenda, even if it means sacrificing his party members. The second theory is more Machiavellian. Is this a political consolidation for 2027? By weakening the old guard, the Malamis, the Ngiges, the Silvas, Tinubu effectively neutralizes any potential internal opposition within the APC. These men have money, they have influence, they have structures. If you put them on trial, you keep them busy, you freeze their accounts, and you break their political spinal cords. Ngige, for instance, is a heavyweight in the southeast. With him facing corruption charges, his ability to mobilize or challenge the current structure is decimated. So when you ask Tinubu involvement, the answer might not be that he picked up the phone and said arrest Ngige, but that he gave the EFCC chairman Ola Olukoyede the body language to go ahead and do his job without fear or favor. And in Nigeria, body language is everything. Let's go back to the courtroom scene. The atmosphere at the FCT High Court in Gwarinpa was tense. Ngige, known for his white beard and his combative style, looked different today. The swagger was dampened. Being in the dock is a humbler for any man. The EFCC Council, led by serious legal minds, laid out the case. They are relying on Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. This section deals with public officers using their office to gratify themselves or their relatives or associates. If convicted, Ngige could face serious jail time. The specific details of the contracts are what make this painful for the average Nigerian. The contracts were for consultancy, training, and supply. In a digital age, consultancy has become the easiest way to steal government money. You write a paper, you hold a workshop in a hotel, and you sign out 500 million. Meanwhile, the NSITF, which is supposed to protect workers, has been riddled with scandal after scandal. Remember the former NSITF boss who claimed termites ate the vouchers? It seems the rot in that agency was top to bottom, and the EFCC is now arguing that the head was just as rotten as the body. The timing of this arrest is also fascinating because of the kidnap versus arrest drama. When the news first broke on Wednesday that Ngige was missing, the entire southeast panicked. Unknown gunmen have taken on Wa, people cried. It shows the level of insecurity in the country that our first thought was kidnapping, not arrest. But when his aide, Fred Chukwulobe, came out to say no, he is with the EFCC, the mood shifted from sympathy to scrutiny. It's like finding out the person you were praying for was actually caught with your hand in the cookie jar. It changes the narrative completely. And we must mention the Southeast connection. Ngige is not just any politician. He is a former governor. His arrest sends shockwaves through the region. Some will say it is a witch hunt against the Igbo elite, especially with Stella Odua also in the net. But the counter-argument is that Malami, a northerner, and Silva, a south-southerner, are also facing the music. This makes it look less like an ethnic purge and more like a class of 2015 to 2023 purge. The EFCC seems to be working down a list of the Federal Executive Council members who served under Buhari. Who is next? That is the question keeping many former ministers awake tonight. I want to engage you guys on this Tinubu involvement angle. Do you think the president is behind this wave of arrests? Is he trying to show that he is tougher on corruption than Buhari was? Or is this just the EFCC trying to impress the public? And honestly, do you feel sorry for Ngige? This is a man who fought ASU for 8 months. Many students lost a year of their lives because of that strike. Is this karma coming back to bite? Think about the Sezimo Nigeria Ltd mentioned in the charge sheet. The EFCC says the managing director, Ezebinwa Amarachukwu Charles, is an associate of Ngige. This is how the system works. They don't put the money in their own account. They use Ezebinwa, they use Chukudi, they use Ahmed. But the BVN and the detailed bank analysis have exposed the links. The EFCC is saying, we know who really owns the money. As Ngige pleads not guilty, which is standard, the battle for bail begins. The EFCC will likely oppose bail or ask for stringent conditions, citing the risk of flight or interference with witnesses. And remember, Malami is still in detention because he couldn't meet his conditions immediately. If Ngige spends the weekend in Kuje prison or EFCC custody, it will be a massive fall from grace for a man who used to fly in presidential jets. This is a developing story that will define the rest of 2025. We are watching the court proceedings minute by minute. We are watching for the bail ruling, and we are watching to see if the president will say anything. His silence so far is loud. It suggests he approves of this cleaning. I need you to tell me, are you happy with this development? Do you want to see more ministers arrested? Drop your names in the comments. Who do you think the EFCC should pick up next? Fashola, Amechi, Pantami? Let's make a list in the comment section. And please, if you want to stay on top of this drama, if you want to know the moment the judge bangs the gavel, you need to smash that like button right now. It helps us get the news out. Subscribe to the channel. Don't be a spectator. Be part of the community. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the next update. We are following Ngige, we are following Malami, and we are following the money.